2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and The Bean universe. Lesbo and The Bean. LaTB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and The Bean.
Welcome back, episode 172. We finally got a breakdown. Under Us, ESPN is debuting on the Plus. Get ready for the Gladiator to be dressing himself right before this. I know that's been a common intro for a long time now.
I am so... Off topic, the UFC's updating their soundtrack. Have you been noticing?
I have been noticing. I don't mind at all. I like that we've gotten away from a lot, which we've talked about here before. Yeah. It's good for the UFC, WME, doing a lot of things with the UFC, breaking a lot of barriers. And
we had to come on air because we were just discussing, or I was, and you were like, let's just talk about it on the show. Let's start this.
Sure.
I was gawking TJ Dillashaw's physique right now, and now he's getting a lot of hate in my opinion, and I think he looks fine and looks like a guy, like, if he has 8 pounds to lose, 10 pounds to lose.
I haven't been able to find any more photos of either fighter, Henry Cejudo or TJ Dillashaw. As of late, in the last 3 or 4 days, I've been all over their Instagram and Twitters, and I can see all the stuff from about a week ago, but the last picture we've seen is the ones everyone's been cycling. Has there been an update since I've been on there?
This is just now.
Literally just now. TJ Dillashaw looking like he's 128 pounds of solid muscle. I mean, I don't know where this guy's going to lose the fat, but he says he's got it under control. I did see some leaks, not even leaks, some mathematics of TJ Dillashaw's weight cutting program. Have you seen this on Twitter yet?
No actual numbers, but I've heard him talk about it a lot.
No, there's the actual schematics of his trainer put down where their tests are, and via the page that I saw, the day before weight, he should essentially be at 125 pounds the night before via their standard, and he's been supposedly setting those goals. Now this is Sam Apple. I can't give you the exact name. I have retweeted it. Lesbo and The Bean, I'm sure we'll retweet it soon there after this, but it's high-level math. Like, these are algorithms that you're seeing in high-level banking, but it's to get ounces off of this fighter. So, very Drago-esque. Very Russian science cosmonaut to me.
That next level stuff, but that being smart and nutrition and this kind of stuff, and people even talking about all year how the juice hasn't been worth the squeeze as far as maybe dehydration. We've watched a lot of guys go up in weight and it be beneficial to them, and even the short notice fighters maybe fighting somebody from their own weight class at a higher weight on short notice. We've seen that happen. It's going to happen a few times tonight. I think science is obviously the future, but this next level, and TJ Dillashaw is a really smart guy, and maybe old school burning your body out and being hardcore and proving you're the, toughest thing, like, that's not necessarily the best way to go in with a really clear head so you can keep your game plan, and not just muscle memory doesn't make a champion. It's having a friggin' smart head in there too.
Head on a swivel. And that information was broken by Brett Okamoto, the ESPN Shilla Skis, from Sam Calavita. And it's high-level math here. I'll just let Lesbo see the schematics. It gets crazy. And I agree. This is why we're going to see champions. I think other champions are going to take note of this and build off of it into their own modes. But fun times for the evolution and progression of all of training. And there's no set right way to train right now.
I just went on your thing to retweet it, and then there started to be so much stuff that I just retweeted like 30 of your tweets in a row. So anyways, and I don't think it was the one you were even talking about, so make sure you're following Zoltanite. I think everything matters these days, and for longevity of a champion,
Sure. But is there any other Twitterverse, MMA-verse stuff we want to get to before we get into this 13-card bout?
There's so much fucking fight news we could talk about. There's so much gossip. There's so much Stephen Wonderboy Thompson Pettis stuff. There's so much weird McGregor stuff. There's so much weird Twitter wars going on between, like, Kevin Gastelum and a fake dude. And then
I saw that.
Kevin Gastelum versus a fake Ariel, and then in the whole mix, Ben Askren talks shit about fatty Kevin Gastelum, and it's a whole to-do. So, I don't want to talk about it.
Fun times, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to make money. And on a 13-card bout, after 2 weeks in the new year, we're finally starting it off right with this ESPN deal. They got a stacked-ass card, but if there's ever something we got to worry about, it's weigh-ins. So you better be liking and subscribing at Lesbo and The Bean, at Zoltanite, and at Weakneck Baby on Twitter to be up to date, because there will be some free bets. I guarantee it. But again, couple people maybe not making weight. There's been also a lot of turmoil on this bout. It is coming to us from Brooklyn, but there has been multiple fights that have been dropped and rescheduled, and it started off with Robbie Lawler versus Thompson getting taken off of this bout. Then it all happened at once with Glover Teixeira versus Cutelaba. Cutelaba was out. Then Randy Brown versus Chance Ruckateur ended up falling out. Randy Brown due to injury. Alameda Sam Hagen ended up filling out. Then it was Alameda Lineker. Lineker fell out of that versus Cody Sam Hagen. And now Cody Sam Hagen is finally debuting Matthew Batista. But in between there, Ruckateur ended up getting a bout signed with Dwight Grant, which has fallen out as well. And on 3 days' notice, he's getting a debut. Maybe a week's out, maybe 5-day notice, debuting fighter in Kyle Stewart. And this is a good way to start it from the bottom to the top. It starts at 170 pounds, and Chance Ruckateur is coming back with his first loss against Belal Muhammad on short notice a little while ago. Coming in again against the debuter who went on the Tuesday Night Contender Series for Dana White. Ended up not getting a contract, even though he finished his fighter due to ankle injury with the right hand that ended up breaking it. Horrible break. Either way, Kyle Stewart did not get picked up by the UFC. Ended up going on the regional scenes and has gotten 4 fights in a row since that time. In 2018, this young man definitely has mainly his second loss ever. He is 11-1. His only loss ever just came a fight before this last one. He can go to decision. The Marine likes to push you up against the fence, and Kyle Stewart get you to the ground and use his ground and pound in order to take over a fight. His cardio looks good. His striking is developing. He throws a left kick ever so often, but he doesn't set it up right, and his striking is just a little slow and looping. But he has power when he's able to land on you. Chance Ruckateur, how's that recounter?
I have no idea. Rencounter
lost to Belal Muhammad.
The Black Eagle.
The Black Eagle himself.
Or Chance.
Chance at 12-3 lost to Belal Muhammad.
Not the dog from Homeward Bound.
Well, he didn't have a chance in there against Belal, really, because his striking is also limited. He likes to get his fights to the ground, and once it's there, his ground and pound is limited, also has semi-power. Both of these guys are mirror images of each other. Striking, it's going to get really dirty, because the more both of these guys get tired, the sloppier both of their techniques go. This is a clear stay away from the first fight of the night, and with all of the change-ups, this is just too close of a coin flip. I'm gonna side with Chance here. He is I don't know if he's the favorite. Let me see. My tap is a little off. I got Ruckateur recounter for a decision. I'm going to say stay away from it. I'm not going to bet this one at all. These guys are super low level. Didn't like what I saw from recounter, but now that he has a loss against Belal,
recounter.
Maybe he took a big step up where this debuting short notice Kyle Stewart is on 3 days notice. Who do you feel has this fight? and why?
I think you are so right. This is a big, huge stay away. When I look at it, there's nothing that stands out about either guy to me. And I don't know anything could happen, puncher's chance, blah, 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 all the stuff that doesn't ever need to be said. So I have chance, I guess, by decision, but I'm going to stay away from it.
I have that as well. And actually, the debuting fighter in Kyle Stewart is the favorite at -165. Also on DraftKings, you're going to end up paying up for the debuting fighter at $8,700 against $7,500 for the veteran recounter. So, weird. I'm not sticking too heavily on that, but I do think there's a chance there. Moving on to the next round at 170 pounds. Boom! How you like that? How you like that Sourdough Brooklyn card?
I know. I'm trying to open up my. Are you opening the DraftKings or the lines?
I do have the lines as well. I got it all. I just needed to set it up with that first fight. So now that I got it all off the tip of my tongue. That
the
was
best
a rough
thing
bout
either
to
have
get
going
into,
for him. Yeah, it was weird, and
because that bout's
changed so much.
3 times.
Yes, it's hard. I feel uneducated on it, and
rightly so.
The best thing about both these guys, I think it's a good thing to walk into this next fight with, is that Chance went to decision with Belal Muhammad. That's their best that either guy has done yet up until this point. So this could be an ugly grind or over in 5 seconds. So,
I think it's going to turn in more into that ugly grind and actually going to be a really slow-paced fight once we get to the brass tacks of it. A lot of ground and pound for either fighter in that one. Ken, super hesitant, especially on that 8,700 for Stewart. Staying in the 170 pounds, we have Belal Muhammad, who we just mentioned, against Geoff Neal.
Geoff Neal.
We always get it wrong.
Jeff.
It's Geoff Neal.
Is it Geoff or Jeff? Geoff.
Hands of Steel Neal against, remember the name, 14-2. Belal Muhammad likes to use his wrestling game in there, coming from that Rufus Sport, Anthony Pettis. Who else is Jared Gordon? There's a bunch of other little monsters coming out of there who tend to not move their head as much as I really like. And Belal, even though he wears a punch well, he gets hit a little more than I like in there a lot of the time. And against a heavy-duty striker like Neal, that's something you have to be really worried about. Neal coming off a knockout of the year, the 10-2 record, the 10-2 fighter, Neal, is coming off of that head kick KO off of Frank Camacho 4 months ago, which, look at it, it's a contender for fight of the year. Well, one-sided fight of the year. Neal really was never in any trouble there. Camacho tends to be more of a ground guy, of a brawler, and that really benefits Neal because he's a sniper. He's a southpaw with a ultra-fast left head kick, but also his left straight is lightning fast. He is everything I would say that black explosive, that is Neal. Now, what I did see, if I could take anything away from that Camacho fight, is at the beginning of that second round, when he got that kick, even though he was wearing it well, Neal was starting to slow down for me. He had flurried at the end of the first round, almost getting Camacho out of there, but somebody who might be able to be a little more durable and actually able to take Neal down, I really think that later into these rounds, Neal could get really exposed on the ground here. I have seen Neal's take down the fence. It is good. He likes to push against the head, does everything right. But Belal is by far the best wrestler he's seen in there. And Belal Muhammad is one of these guys who will spam you with 3 or 4 takedowns until he finally gets one. And Neal can get back to his feet, but we haven't really seen that in the second or third round. This is a profile fight. I'm ultra excited for this. Striking-wise, Neal's hands down is better on the ground by far. And wrestling-wise and cardio, I'm giving it to Muhammad. I see a coin flip here. I think the -185 favorite for Neal is way too overpriced. I feel like this should be in that Muhammad minus or plus 145 maybe minus 160. Yeah, 105
Would they
for
be
Neil.
both one minus like 105, 115 or something?
Maybe more. That's more right. I'm off with 1 plus 145 for Muhammad, but I give Muhammad a real shot here, enough to consider him getting a dirty, nasty split. This could be a 30-27 for Neil on one judge's scorecard, and then the other two have 29-28. Belal Muhammad. I got a dirty split. Give me Muhammad in this. Getting an underdog. 2 in a row. Who do you have for this one?
Actually, the weird part, in my opinion, is that Geoff Neal has the hardest hands of anyone Belal Muhammad's ever seen. And Belal Muhammad has the best grind, most experience of anyone Geoff Neal's ever seen. So when Vincent Luque, him finishing Belal, in our opinion, like, we think Vincent's like one to watch out for. You want a dark horse in the division? You want someone that you don't see coming up by the end of 2019 that I can't even believe we didn't bring up until just this second, as far as a sneaker.
Inactivity.
Yeah, or just a sneaker of somebody who's like
dark horse in the division.
Yeah, like could really just is 2 matches away from everyone knowing their name. It's Luque. So I think Belal Muhammad, like you're saying, and hopefully they're just being a little smarter at Rufus Sport right now. And if he plays it smart, I think he can wait out that first round, make it through, wear out that cardio, points, maybe a takedown or two. Like you're saying, he's going to stand there super strong the first round. But as the second round wears on, could Belal Muhammad be the thing that the judges don't even remember, the knockdown in round 1?
Could happen.
Or that even dirty draw because it's an 8-10 from a knockdown in round 1 that Belal survives and ekes out an ugly split.
I totally agree. This is such a fun fight. In that same
I agree
vein,
with you. Muhammad decision.
In that same vein, what I didn't like, and what I was talking to Evil Twin about this bout as well, is that Belal can get a little lazy with that right hand. And as I said, Neil has a amazingly fast left kick that ended up knocking out Camacho, but he sets it up well. Neil also sets up good striking traps.
And kick means someone will take you down. Like, if you got to be careful after a certain point. I also, what I thought you were going to say is Belal Muhammad has an ego about him in the octagon, and he can get in a firefight, which is bad news against Geoff Neal.
I totally agree. That's why this is a very... Belal Muhammad has everything he needs to beat Neil, but can make a mistake, and it takes 1 split second of a mistake, and Neil will put you out.
And I'm saying it ahead of time. If people are missing friggin' weight, go with the fat person. I'm going to say it now.
Already beforehand?
Okay. Go with the fat person.
Preface.
I can't believe we just don't, it's just not a blanket. Like, yeah, I know the other person missed weight, but... So, if Geoff Neal comes in fatty fats, everything we said with Belal out the window, and... I don't know if he will. I'm not even putting it on him. I'm just saying. Blanket.
So, Belal is going to end up being 7,700 as the underdog on DraftKings against Neil's 8,500. Do I put another play here? Do I put a play on Muhammad? I think right now I'm going to hold off. But I will have exposure to either fighter there, because if there's a finish in this fight, it's Neil. But if there's a grinding decision, it's Muhammad. On to the 155-pounders, we have Dennis Bermudez coming in off a 4-fight losing streak against T. Edwards, who was a big flash in the nothing, being 6-2, debuting in the UFC, winning his Contender Series fight with a quick knockout, losing his debut in the UFC to Magic Man Don Madge himself. T. Edwards is a D1 wrestler who got away from wrestling to stick with MMA, but like we've said here before, these wrestlers with tons of power fall in love with their striking and end up getting pieced apart by a real striker, which is exactly what happened with Don Madge. Don Madge really looking good in there. Dennis Bermudez also having all sorts of wrestling credentials in there, coming out of Tiger Schulman, who's been having iffy Long Island fight team, but I do think he has some cross-training up there. I could be wrong. Bermudez, though, has been fighting at 16-9. The last 4 that he's lost have been to Andre Fili 11 months ago, split decision. Recent loss to Rick Glenn in a split decision. Glenn is always tough guy in there. Neil, though, or not Neil, T Edwards here gasses, like we were saying earlier, and Bermudez has enough of fight IQ and fought long enough against better competition to be able to take over in the second and third round. But that chin is suspect for Bermudez. Bermudez gets hurt, even by Glenn, he got hurt a couple times. He doesn't have tons of power. T needs that one shot, and it's clearly night. Bermudez has the better, I would say better takedown here, but T has good takedown defense. It's all up in that gas tank. I'm actually super excited for this, but betting-wise, I'm staying super far away from this fight. I don't feel like you can put either one of these fighters, or you put either one of these fighters, because one's going to finish the other one. I don't like the gas tank for Edwards. I don't like the chin for Bermudez. I'm going to end up, this is near even for a reason. I got Bermudez decision here. I could wake up and say Edwards TKO round number 1 tomorrow. Stick around on the Twitter for that one. I got OT weigh-ins, but I'm going Bermudez decision, slight favorite. I don't really like myself for that. I'm saying stay away betting-wise on this fight.
I feel like the lines are dead on. I think Bermudez is a slight favorite, and at negative under 135, that is dead on with me. I think he should be. He has all the experience in the world. The combined guys of everyone but Don Madge, who he lost to by a head kick and punches. I'm not as high on T. Edwards at all. I think he gets chewed up in the UFC, and I think Dennis Bermudez's last 4 losses have been eeks. He eked him out. I think he has a tough chin. He's been in some battle royales, with the exception of the knockout, but that's been almost 2 years ago at this point. I think the UFC is doing T. Edwards no favors here. This is going to be the hardest match of his whole life, because Dennis Bermudez makes you have all 15 minutes. All 15 minutes.
That's a good point.
Dennis Bermudez might be in trouble a few times in there.
In the first round, though.
But I just think the overall experience here. Yeah, I think the odds are dead on. I don't see, if the odds being dead on, and DraftKings will probably have, I haven't looked at them at all, but my guess is like Dennis Bermudez at like 8-7 or 8-8. That won't be worth it, in my opinion. He's not going to get a ton of points in this. It's going to be like a 60-point decision.
T. Edwards, 8,200 on DraftKings against the favorite, Dennis Bermudez, 8,000. This is about a coin flip as you get on DraftKings.
I think at 8,000, Dennis Bermudez might be okay.
That's a good, I agree with that. Especially in that third round, I don't think T's going to have any type of forward positive movement, just from as gassed as we really saw him get in all of his bouts. I mean, he's a 6-0 fighter with first round finishes in every single one of his bouts at 155. You got to be able to go the distance. Moving on to profile fight that fell out multiple times at 135 pounds. We have Corey Sandhagen coming in against debuting short notice replacement Mario Bustamante.
Replacement?
Oh, if we would have got that Lineker Sandhagen fight, God, that got fight of the year potentially. That was going to be a sick one.
I don't know. I feel like Lineker's on his way over the Rainbow Bridge of UFC.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting commentary.
I mean, not
Lineker.
that that's any different about Batista right now. I would rather see this fight if it was full training camp, kind of. So it's not like obviously you're dead on with the Lineker Sandhagen. I just wasn't as excited about it.
So the debuting 6-0 Mario short notice fighters definitely got his handful here, with Sandhagen having high output, good takedown defense, training with the champion right now, being TJ's one of his number one training partners. At 135 pounds, everything we've seen from Sandhagen has been nothing but good, can take a shot well, and really thinks on his feet really well. Though Batista in here, I really like the tape I saw on this young man. It really, really sucks that he's coming in on such a profile fight, but that's the way that he's going to get in the UFC, is having to take a short notice, disadvantageous fight. And this is an MMA, Arizona, Glendale guy at 25 years old. He took about a 2-year break after debuting. I don't know if it was for injuries. I wasn't able to find out exactly why, but for the last 3 years, he's been active and won all of his fights via decision, submission, and or knockout. Has a good output, throws 3-4 and 5-punch combinations together late in the third round. He's fought in LFA, has guillotine chokes, has good cardio in the third round. He last won a decision against Juan Paulo, where he threw 2 months ago, where he threw a flying knee in the third round in a grueling bout. But in a lot of other spots, I think at 135, we're going to see Mario Batista win a lot of shots, and I think that he's going to actually put in an incredibly valiant effort against Sam Hagen here. But Sam Hagen moves from the body to the head effortlessly. I mean, he's a spitting image of TJ Dillashaw at the same weight at 135. Not as much experience, but he's getting there. I mean, if it wasn't short notice fight, I think the odds would be a lot closer, but just so many other things. I think Mario stays in here for a long time to come. I just think that this actually goes to decision. If there's a finish, it's probably Sam Hagen. But Batista, this is somebody I guarantee you we're going to be talking about later, because this young man at 25 looks good. It's going to be a big L for him, but he's going to grow. I mean, coming in against Sam Hagen, you're only going to grow from this type of a loss, unless it's like 2 seconds.
Is it Sam or Sand?
Sand Hagen? Am I saying Sam Hagen?
Yeah.
I might have known a Sam Hagen in my life, is why.
I was just making sure, because just because it looks one way in the spelling in the UFC, you'll be like, well, he's Dutch, so...
He's that French Dutch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you happen to catch any of Mario's fights at all?
No.
What do you remember about
all.
Sam Hagen? What does he remind you of?
I agree with you on TJ Dillashaw, cardio for days, putting everything together correctly. I think this is not because he didn't train for it, but what he was training for with Lineker. Oh my gosh, this poor kid. The only thing Sandhagen could be in trouble for is this kid knowing what he's getting into and just being like, look, leave it all in the first round. You only got 1 round.
Got nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. You have nothing to lose. No one expects you to win. But once, if even Sandhagen plays it safe in the first round, if that happens, I don't even know if he has to. Like you're saying, training for a guy like John Lineker, especially John Lineker at 135, which we've seen this resurgence of him. I got Sandhagen KO round 2. I think he goes in there and is conservative a little bit for the first 5 minutes, just so the kid can unload and take that shot. But I don't think Corey goes in there and gets reckless. I think we have a lot to see from his career in the UFC. He's another one to watch. And I'm interested in Mario Batista just because of everything you've said about him. So I will definitely look into it, and you'll have to remind me. Well, we'll see it on the records when we're looking, but you'll have to be like, this is that kid that... remember it was short notice his last fight?
Yeah, so people are going to be
notice.
like, oh, he got eaten up. No, if he would have had a real training camp. MMA lab guys tend to have a pretty good game plan.
Who else is there? Refresh me.
Drakkar Close.
Okay.
And I believe Benson Henderson. There's even the former champions over at other organizations. But yeah,
it's a name I know.
Yes.
It's a name I know.
And they definitely come out in the last year or two as bringing together some top level athletes. But Sam Hagen on DraftKings is going to be 9,300 against 6,900 for Batista. I'll sprinkle in Sam Hagen a little spots there. I'm going to probably end up staying away from Batista. Maybe as a contrarian, I'll play Batista in 1 or 2 spots because I don't see the finish happen immediately. This is a tough young man, but this just isn't the spot to be betting him. Big favorite here for Sam Hagen, being a... How are the odds on these guys? Sam Hagen minus 500, I believe. Biggest favorite. Nope. 1 more favorite is more so. 2 more favorites are more so than that, but...
All of our fans are going to track down the Sam Hagen in your life and like spray paint his lawn. They're like, ESPN, UFC on ESPN.
On to the 205ers, we have...
Weird, huh? Our first ESPN. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Why is that? We're breaking in an era?
Yeah, like
I agree. It's a first step.
And for me, just being so young into the sport, like I came in the Ronda Rousey era. And then I made it through the Conor McGregor era. And then we had the rough spot where everyone was like, oh, UFC's over. And then this resurgence of, where I've only seen Brock Lesnar fight once or twice.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Just because I do know a lot of history, I know it's crazy. But now I just feel like I'm on for another part of UFC legacy. I know you've been there since day one. Day one. But the ESPN era, it feels kind of like, oh, do you remember back on FS1? Like, there's going to be all these Johnny-come-latelys to the sport.
Or it'll be like, remember the first time they were on FS1? Now it's their, third contract that they've went
they
from
go back
one to
Fox,
another.
Back to Big Boy Fox.
Exactly. So, maybe we'll be talking about these guys because they're young up-and-comers at 31 and 29 years old. We have one of those dreaded double debuts. It's been a little while since we've got one of those, but here we finally are at 205 and ESPN getting 2 Contender Series alumni facing each other. We have Vinicius Alves? How would you pronounce that?
Who?
Against
Vinicius.
Vinicius Alves.
Vinicius Alves, yeah.
Versus Alonzo Menfield. Not Mayfield. Menfield. Names are really getting put to the test via this card.
It's raining Menfield. Hallelujah.
And Alves is fighting out of the 5-round fight team. Where is he? Out of Brazil. The 9-1 fighter. Tends to like to get it done in there via submissions. He arm triangles people, likes to get on top, use single leg, double leg entries, which are very slow and plodding forward to get in there. His striking, a little Muay Thai-esque, but bad fundamentals. Leaves his head straight up at times when he throws some punches. And against Alonzo Menfield, who's 7-0 with a perfect all TKOs.
No, he's had 2 submissions.
Oh, has he? Those submissions were set up by the hands. It was somebody...
Brutal hands?
Right. He hits you with an overhand right, and then he'll jump on a guillotine when you're just barely hanging on to life there. But Alonzo really swarms on you. At 31 years old, he is a Muay Thai striker, puts together 3 and 4 punch combinations, but when he throws them, they are loaded. He puts all of his power into it, and we just haven't seen him get into that third round because he blasts people out of there. The takedown defense I did see on Menfield was serviceable, but that was early in most of his fights. We haven't seen his takedown defense in 2nd or 3rd round. I don't feel that Alves is going to be able to have good enough takedowns to get it where he wants to on the ground.
Alves? Oh, okay, Alves. Sorry.
Alves is
I was staring at Alonzo and the first name, and I'm like, wait, where am I? What fight? I'm on the wrong fight. Okay, yeah.
So I do. I want to say I have Menfield here, knockout, but I could see in the maybe 2nd or 3rd round Alves getting a submission because he doesn't knock out Alves initially. I don't like how big of a favorite this is. I'm going to stay away from this fight. I'm going with Menfield, KO round number 1, but I could switch to submission 2 or 3 for Alves as well. I've went back and forth on this. I'm going to actually tell fans to stay away from this. I don't feel good.
I had Alves submission round 2 when you started talking. I'm like, maybe I'll change and just go with the fan favorite. I can see how heavy. There's something I don't know about this fight. Menfield KO round 1. And my instincts are a little right, and I totally agree with you.
Let's both
stay away from
this. This is what I have.
That's what I did
but
have.
But I'm switching to TKO round number 1 Menfield.
But I did have
totally
that.
Agree.
So, yeah, I think it's one or the other. The suck part is, as much as I want to say, stay away from this. This is the fucking fight you need on your winner. If you have a DraftKings winner, it's this point, because it's going to be a fast finish. Or a lot of points laid and then a brutal finish in the second. So sorry for the clicking fans.
It's one or the other though, and it's either submission or TKO as well. Which there's multiple bouts on this card where it's like, ooh, this guy's gonna be holding on by the seat of his pants. A 9,100 on DraftKings Menfield. You gotta pay for everything against the debut and
not
Alves,
worth it for that. Yeah, that's
7-1. Maybe I could put 7-1 on a couple
But
bouts.
9-1. That's what kind of points he's gonna get if he finishes in round one. He's just
Agreed.
gonna go in and throw so many hands. It's gonna be like 125 points.
Totally agree. I'm siding with the favorite there at minus 285 against the plus 220.
Agree. I'm following the
Alves.
fans on that one. I'm gonna go with the
Stay
favorite
on the
as well.
Twitter. Stay on the Twitter. Stay on the weigh-ins.
But I'm staying away from it. I'm
staying away from that fight
I
as
don't
well.
know enough. You know what my rule is? I stick with what I know, and so I don't know either thing about the double D.
About the double debut. Staying in the debuters, we have Adriana, the Violence Queen, Lipski against Joanne Jojo Calderwood. And this is very unique and interesting fight due to the 12-3 Calderwood veteran coming off of a win. The Scottish fighter has SBG ties, but has long since been away from them.
Lipsy's is cute, huh?
Lipski's a little hottie.
She's cute.
Lipski.
Lipski.
The Violence Queen. How do you feel like the 11-3 Violence Queen? How do you like her nickname?
I have to see her fight. If
'Cause
she earns that name.
The Violence Queen I always thought was JJ. But she's got 20 different nicknames, so...
Joanna Violence.
Which,
Joanna.
late breaking news real quick.
Yeah,
officially
it's worth it.
moved up to 125 pounds.
So
JJ...
she has room.
Well, I know.
So she has a little bit of extra weight she needs.
Exactly. She's moving up to 125 because she got them implants. She got that Beck Rawlings implants, that PVZ implants, that Ostovich implants.
I think hers look better. I think they're a nice little size.
I thought they looked like hard sandbags to me.
I thought, well, they were probably brand fucking new.
They were still sitting up top heavy. They were still like up at her throat.
I'm not huge into, I don't like fake boobies, but if whatever, I'm all for whatever makes you feel good about yourself. And I actually thought they were a nice little size. They look like once they go, they don't look too big in my opinion. They look like nice full C's.
I feel like if you can feel them, they're real. So, back on to Joanne Calderwood versus the Violence Queen. Definitely had some fights in the KSW, which actually has a pretty good 125-pound division, but they're just putting in all sorts of women at 125 pounds here. And she tends to be a Muay Thai striker with okay takedown defense and good cardio in there. She has a dogged pace, moves forward on you, and really breaks women in there. The Violence Queen is a good nickname. I like what I see in there from her. Head movement, not the best, but she throws such devastating shots. Not tons of power on them, but she intimidates a lot of women. And Joanne Calderwood is somebody who gets intimidated. She's somebody who had a 2-fight losing streak, who was about to retire multiple times against Jessica Andrade. It doesn't look so bad all of a sudden. Also losing a decision to Calvillo. She's gotten back on the winning train as of late, but has multiple times talked about how her fiance, her former training partners...
Jessica Andrade tried to step in against Sandhagen.
But Calderwood is one of these people that wears her heart on her sleeve, and if she's been having a even roughly bad training camp, she will fold up shop and not look like all of her potential in there. But striking-wise, she is really long, has devastating Muay Thai knees. She was known as something crazy with her knees because he was knocking out ladies for a while there, especially with her elbows.
Killer knees. KK. I just made that up.
But Joanne Calderwood, definitely on the ground, off of her back, throws a lot of submissions up, has nasty triangles as well, but has said, in her tiny voice,
her knees were so awesome that in Scotland they spell knees with a C.
Maybe.
It makes just as much fucking sense as spelling it with a K. Let's be real.
It does. But Joanne Calderwood,
tough room tonight.
It is hard. I was trying to think of hitting her in the C, but it wasn't rolling off.
You were like,
right.
oh, yeah. Do I want to read it? Me too.
But Calderwood's been in Vegas as of late. It's not updated here. But what I was going to say, with all of her mental stuff and everything going wrong, she was last on the Hawani show talking about she may have a fiance. Also, head training coach for her at her gym, which the last time she had that and they were all good and talking about getting married, she was on a 4, 5, 6 fight winning streak, murdering bitches. And then she broke up with him, lost 2 in a row, and has since got in another relationship. She's a serial monogamist, but everything, all checks are go for me as of right now. So until I hear that she gets dumped, I'm going to be betting on Joanne Calderwood. I think this is this is a mental play. This is a alpaca thesaurus play. Alpaca, break this down. Maybe I'm calling
Don't break
it
down
wrong.
Joanna Calderwood. Please don't do that to us.
If anyone else sees what I see...
If he did a news type show where he sat at a desk and he just went over a few fighters with just little things that he noticed, then I would say,
This is a mind game, though. I'm telling you, this is one of those where she will get dropped, but off of her back, she'll catch a triangle or a submission. I got Joanne Calderwood winning TK or submission round number 1. All lines. I mean, all of the planets are aligning for her, and her cycle's on. It's gonna be one of those purge monogamy. What the hell do they call them? Retrograde. She's have one of those
retrograde.
She's in the opposite of one of those.
That's the opposite. Yeah, because ladies, Mercury retrograde ruin your life.
She's in a Mercury retrograde. Retrograde. So
she's in fashion. She ain't retro.
I think
she ain't going backwards. She going forward. Forward movement.
This is a brain game. I got another underdog.
Wow.
Another one. Give me JoJo with the experience against a debuting fighter. Against the Violent Queen.
I may have had JoJo when this all started. I don't remember if I've switched since we've been talking. And I don't know if I just have a crush on Lipsky and she's mesmerizing me with her eyes and her flash dance wardrobe. She might be one of my new favorites. I like that she's 24. She's going to be 25 soon. I think that this is a perfect fight for her to walk into. And I love what you said about Joanne. She does get intimidated inside the octagon. That is a real deal. And, we're just seeing this next level of UFC come in. I think Joanne has all the experience here. But like you said before, she's kind of like a Tim Means in a way. You didn't say that part, but just the talk about retirement. And once we see somebody start doing that, it's hard for them to turn that mental game around. I think it's more than a man. It's more than Gillette razors. You see all that controversy? We don't have to even get in it. We ain't talking about it. I just know what's happening. I'm going to go with Lipsky. I think she's new breed UFC, and I think Joanne is a perfect gatekeeper for the 125. She's, but I just have Lipsky decision, nothing crazy. I think Joanne is firm enough everywhere to not totally crumble anywhere.
I totally agree. I don't see her getting run over at all. Again, I actually see Calderwood losing some of these exchanges, but off of her back, she's super dangerous. Got some sneaky off her back skills. 8,800 on DraftKings for the debut.
But this is one, for some reason, watch the scales on this one.
The whole night. 8,800 for Lipsky. Are you going to play her on your DraftKings for the debut?
No, I like Joanne as a play there.
7,400. Agreed. I'm putting JoJo in a lot of spots, especially because I have her winning. Hashtag winning.
I'm going to have Charlie Sheen come up winning.
So, we'll see, but that's a heart play. The heart wants what the heart wants in that play. On to another profile fight. We have 155-pounders, Donald, the Cowboy Cerrone, coming in against the great Alex Hernandez. Hernandez making a splash at 10-1, coming off of a big winning streak. His last 2 in a row over Aubin Mercier, starching, as some might say. Who was it? Freaking Beneil Dariush?
Yes.
And
yes.
I ended up getting that Aubin Mercier one right. He was an underdog. Hernandez was there at like plus 145, and he really came through well. And against Donald Cerrone, the 34-11, longtime veteran, former title contender, Cerrone is a perennial gatekeeper for that top 10, if not top 5 type fighters in there. Just as Joanne Calderwood, Donald Cerrone is in that mental game. We've heard him talk about it before when he said, "Oh, this guy's pissed at me." And then all of a sudden he gives it up to a body shot. But Donald Cerrone, as of late, has really turned it around, as you were saying before. Once they got a kid in there, you were saying it about TJ. Cerrone's in that boat. Now that he's got a girl, a kid, a training camp, BMF ranch, we've started to see that game plan change a little bit. Donald Cerrone's perennially been fighting all of the top contenders, coming off of a win to, as an underdog as well, to Mike Perry, who here the Bean also got right in that one, using his veteranship and ground game to really take over in that fight, losing to Edwards, but also beating Yancy Medeiros, who's had some profile fights in a fight of the year potential for that bout. Donald Cerrone, always a striker, same as Joanne Calderwood off of his back, super sneaky on the ground, super sneaky in general. A lot of people underrate, which we were saying for that Perry fight as well. People need to be scared and iffy. And Hernandez, what we've seen now in his fights, if he doesn't start you in that first, he likes to go for a takedown, where Donald Cerrone off of his back is a motherfucking spider. And striking, he ain't no picnic either. It's all his state of mind for me. It's same as Joanne Calderwood. And color me red, but I'm going to end up going with another underdog tonight. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I got Cowboy Cerrone winning a decision. It ain't an easy one, like the gas tank for Hernandez, but Hernandez can keep up a pace for 3 rounds. We've seen it well. But Cerrone is enough of a veteran, and he really likes to get going after that first round. He can win the next 2. But I see it potentially a flash submission off of his back. I got submission round number 3. Donald Cerrone, who do you have in this fight?
I have a couple questions for you.
Please.
Before I tell you, and I'm not going to change mine from this, what I already have. Is Donald Cerrone a counter striker?
Yes.
You think he is?
More so. He goes back and forth in a fight, but he can be a counter striker. He has that in his repertoire.
What do you think made him in trouble with the Darren Till fight?
I thought that Darren Till is a humongous 170-pounder.
Uh-huh.
And
it was one of his first 175-pound.
Yes. And he also flew over. He said he had a bad flight.
Not the forward pressure of Till.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, I think it was more Donald wasn't in it, but that's his cerebral game.
And that's how, the only thing I saw with that fight, if it wasn't everything that you just said, was maybe the forward pressure, that I think Alex Hernandez also has this crazy forward pressure.
He can do it.
But everything that you just said was what solidified me with Cerrone submission round 2 in this. I don't like that Cerrone now sitting up at this weight class for comfortably over a year fighting enormous 170ers. Alex Hernandez, you are a 155er.
Yes.
You don't want Donald Cerrone as your first fight. I think the odds are off here. I think this should be another 105, 115.
Agreed. Spot on.
I think I'm kind of incensed when I look at it. It's just a lack of respect for Donald Cerrone, and I love Alexander Hernandez going forward. Seeing him at 26 years old, already up at 170,
Agreed.
let me know that those weight cuts were killing him, and he was probably fighting fights with his kidneys almost shutting down already. Like, he was probably already doing crazy
70,
shit before.
Who were you talking about there at 70?
Alexander Hernandez.
He's only been at 55, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
At
okay.
26 years old,
Okay.
fighting now at 170, like
Eventually.
No, this is a 170 fight. Oh, is it 155?
This is at 55.
Oh.
That's why. That's what
I thought it was him stepping up to 170.
No. This Cowboy moving down. Also have to watch the scales for this one.
Shit.
Everything matters, ladies and gentlemen. Everything matters when we're making
really,
bets.
yeah.
It really does.
It really does.
And Hernandez can, like we said, Cerrone can take a little time to warm up, and Hernandez, like he did to Dariush, will fucking spark you in that first
I was
second.
about to say, I think
round.
this is so crazy that Hernandez is going up to 170 so young. That lets me know this was way too hard for him to make that cut. That's where I thought it was at 170, and I was feeling super comfortable with my pick. Now at 155. But looking back at Donald's 155 career, never problem making the weight. He was kind of forced to move up by Dana White, and he just ate burgers.
During that time, he said,
yeah.
I actually was still drinking and eating fast food all the time, is why he was having trouble. Again, his whole camp, BMF, everything's coming up.
I'm keeping it. I haven't touched it through the whole thing. I'm keeping what I have. I have Cerrone submission round 2. I just think the experience gets it done here, but it will not be for any detriment to the career of Alexander Hernandez.
Who wins this fight? Donald Cerrone, Aban Mercier.
I think Donald Cerrone.
I would agree with that. And that's what completely throws me off. I know the Dariush starch is that for sure. But OEM has never been in the Cerrone talks, and the fact that he's getting a win off of him, I agree. The line is super off. 8,600 on DraftKings for Hernandez against 7,600 for Donald Cerrone. I'm going to be playing about 75-80% Donald Cerrone on
And
my
like
board.
you're saying, I think we see game on Donald Cerrone.
Agreed.
Like a different, not only kid game on, but cutting weight again game on.
Yep.
I think we see a whole mental, like, Donald came to play. And he just went up to 170 and fought the likes of Darren Till, Robbie Lawler, Mike Perry, like these freaking monsters up at 170. Yancey was a 155er as well with kind of a soft body at 170. It never looked all that great there, but I'm excited to watch Alexander's career going forward. I just think
I would agree with that.
I like your flash submission. I think it's a weird knockdown. I don't even know that Cerrone's not hurt. He's just been in that position 1,000 times.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I think that happens in that Calderwood fight as well.
ESPN, UFC loves you.
This is a
gift.
great card.
This is the prelim main event.
Okay, so that's a profile prelim bout.
Yeah,
and it
that's
is a
pretty
profile.
crazy. It's a profile fight.
And yeah, I like everything as you're saying.
And
with
it's a
Hernandez.
perfect way. There's a
Everything.
lot of hardcores that don't know about Alexander Hernandez yet. And this is a perfect way to introduce this kid to a lot of the hardcores.
Definitely,
And
even though we have him losing.
Hardcores being like, we know who Alexander. Where I'm not talking about you then. I'm not talking about you.
So, if you haven't liked and subscribed.
If you don't like something I said, tweet at me at Zoltanite.
Comment on that YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe. And hey, we always ask for a like, subscribe, tell a friend. But if I dare, I say, do one of those little 4 or 5 stars. If it's anything under that, just leave us a comment.
And what about this? What about this idea? If maybe you're an maybe you're an ESPN watcher and you're finding UFC for the first time, and through Lesbo and The Bean, we might be your UFC experience. We might be your entire thing. So make sure you're hitting the subscribe button so you can find us again, because you'll be like, what is that? Dyke and the Mexican? What was that show called again?
Well, there goes that sponsorship. But such a fun night. 13 bouts. We still have some of these bouts that are hanging on by a thread in my eyes. Still have a few of them. Main event.
You're still feeling sketchy about it. Like, we're going to get off the air, and right when we get off the air, 30 minutes from now, it'll be like,
But Pumpkinhead didn't make
Cowboy
weight.
Cerrone jumped his jet ski over a Porsche
Over
on
a
the
horse.
highway.
Yeah. And ends up breaking his feet. Totally agree. So keep in tune. We have more information. Free bets are going to be coming out from The Bean at Zol tonight. So be sure to
And they're
follow along
good.
there.
I play them. I make money.
Hey, they're always plus money. They're always plus money.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing out minus
If I
anything.
play them all, I always make money, even if one of them loses.
Oh, don't! You're getting me scared there. Don't freak me out.
You don't gotta go crazy. Don't bet the farm. We always say bet responsibly here at Lesbo and The Bean.
100%. Opening up the main event, we have 205ers though. The main card on ESPN, Glover Teixeira against short notice 185-pounder Carl Robertson. The 85er is fighting up at 205 pounds, stepping in for Ian Cutelaba on about a week's out notice. The striker is 7-1, losing his debut in the UFC. Or not his debut, winning his debut against Stewart, losing to Cesar Fiera in a submission, and last beating at 185 pounds Jack Marshman in a decision 2 months ago. Glover Teixeira by far is leaps and bounds better than anybody Robertson has ever fought before. Bigger, stronger, and he's definitely bailing the UFC out by keeping Teixeira in this bout. But boxing, Glover Teixeira 27-7. Glover Teixeira likes to use a lot of boxing in there. Good sprawl. On the ground, he's sneaky, but he's one of these big guys who looks fairly stiff on the ground. Not the fastest, but he has tons of power. On the ground, Glover Teixeira's ground and pound, very underrated, but when he lands on the ground, he hurts people. And Robertson, having okay takedown defense, can choose to keep where this goes, but if at any time it gets to the ground, there is big potential for Teixeira to finish this fight. Striking-wise, Teixeira, some of the best boxing. His lead leg can get picked apart at times in there, but we've never really seen too many people pick apart Glover Teixeira. I have Teixeira in a decision here. I feel like the size, the experience all plays a role here. I'm going to stay away from this fight in general just because of all of the short notice stuff and the 85 going up. If Teixeira has nothing to win here, Robertson has everything to gain. But I think this is a stay away. I think there's many other spots to make it your money. I'm going with the favorite here. Who do you have for this bout?
I'm actually going to pick Robertson here, and I'm going to stay away from this fight altogether. I just like Robertson moving up. I just think he's going to be the faster guy. He's not only 10 years younger than Glover, he's also just coming from that 185 weight class. I just think he's going to have that much crisper of hands. This is his... I'm wondering if he's going to look so good at 205. He might not move back down and try to make a crazy cut. I just think we're going to start seeing more and more guys feel like, I like the way my body feels better. My cardio was better. You know, even though everyone says a skinnier weight makes your cardio better, it does if you do it completely right. But a lot of these guys were doing such hard cuts on their body, they didn't feel great in the octagon. I'm curious about this fight. I'm going to stay away from it too. What are the costs of these fighters?
DraftKings, $8,300 for Glover Teixeira against Carl Robertson's $7,900. Betting favorite slightly, Glover Teixeira is the minus -125 against the plus 105. Carl Robertson, that's going to probably end up being minus 115 by closing day. But I do see Teixeira, for me, should be the rightful favorite there.
Teixeira, I only see him getting the decision. I think Carl Robertson could get some decent points for that coin. He might be okay to be there's so many underdogs here. You can go with an underdog winner. I'm going to have Teixeira. I'm going to stick with what I know, but I do like Carl here. This could be his weight class. He is so cut out to 185.
Oh, unreal.
And it looks like Teixeira, if he cut to 185, he might have a similar body. It's just he's more comfortable at 205.
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm curious about this fight. This is one that could make Carl Robertson one to watch, especially at this division.
Oh, if he beats Glover Teixeira, he immediately is in the top 10 of the 205-pound division. Immediately. So, fun, a 205 edition potentially.
Jack Marshman's not an easy victory.
That's
where you feel like...
Yeah, no, I don't think Jack Marshman is necessarily UFC caliber. He was, but he's had a long career. Anything left with that one?
I feel like Jack Marshman's one of those new guys.
I feel like you're thinking of Jack Hermanson.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's who you're thinking of. Jack Marshman is just a Muay Thai striker. Solely, that's it. Anything left with that 205-pound bag?
That is it.
All right, and I told you I watched a lot of tape and study. Nights, long nights, staying up and watching fights, specifically for this one at 125 pounds, the one we've all been waiting for. PVZ coming in against Rachel Ostovich. I mean, a lot of sweat into this, a lot of showers, a lot of time dedicated, and it has been a long time coming. Fell out multiple times, but the MMA gods are smiling upon us, and we get to see.
I like how you knew who I was thinking about. Because once I looked up who Marshman was, I'm like, oh yeah, no, not him. And Jack Hermanson is who I was thinking about.
Oh, I know.
I was like, Jack Hermanson's a badass.
Yeah,
in my head,
totally different guys.
Totally different.
Other badasses that I'm talking about. Rachel Ostovich coming off of all of those domestic dispute stuff, but we've already went over that multiple times here at LaTB. Now we just need to get into the nitty gritty. We need to pull away all of the other stuff and get to the main bout of PVZ. Coming in with a 7-4 record against the 4-4 Ostovich. Ostovich tends to be a ground fighter. The Hawaiian princess has one of the deadliest Instagrams on there. PVZ rivals it with all of the new additions. They're going for the most plastic surgery in the last year, and Ostovich slightly wins it out.
Ostovich's boobies aren't real?
And
I haven't even looked at any pictures, honestly.
I know, because it's all the lower implant game that's been... I mean, she might not have implants on that lower game, but I feel like her lips are done too. She got them DSLs.
I don't
she
know.
got them
She just
implant
looks
hairs.
like she's like Hawaiian to me or something. She just has nice lips.
Oh, she's definitely never moving down from 125. But Ostovich,
I'm pulling up
Wonder
more pictures
Woman.
while you're talking about her.
Oh,
I have to look at
don't show me, because you're going to bring me off topic of this fight. I'll tell you what. But Ostovich likes to get it done on the ground, has some funky sweeps in there, garbage takedowns. Gas tank not that good in striking wise. She really has some rudimentary arm punches, doesn't throw any power behind him, and can get picked apart striking. On the ground though, she is a little bit funky.
This picture of her, she looks a little Kim Kardashian.
Exactly.
But this picture of her, totally different woman.
Woo, don't show me.
Her up, she knows her angles, but her dead
I
on,
agree.
she is not the same.
I'm telling you, I studied this tape from all of the angles. Every last one of them.
She looks like a completely, that is not great to me.
Those are fake or those are real?
Those are real.
You are Lesbo let me down here. If you can touch them, they're real. So, PVZ comes in with a
Those
striking
look like
advantage
fat.
for me. I feel like they
But I
sit
have to
high.
pull up
I
other
feel like they
ones.
sit high on the throat.
Girls can put, she could just have a little bit of padding in there.
Duct tape in there. So,
That too, there's tape. Look at right in the side of her boob. You can see that she has something in there.
interesting.
Do you see it? Do you see it? Let me look though. Let me keep looking.
Woo!
I always look for a line of silicone or gel.
So PVZ, we know for sure.
They do. They're so tight. They are. I can't believe
They're
I'm
implants.
looking at this.
They're
I don't know.
implants. Trust
Usually
me.
I'm dead on with
She
it.
ain't moving down to 115 anytime soon, but her looks have gotten her.
I want
very,
to. I
very
need to
far.
see an older picture of her. That's the. Yep, they're implants.
Oh yeah. At 125, common
Whoa,
theme.
she got him way too big, or she gained weight. Like she must have gone up from 150. I don't know. She's not a chubby girl at all. But look at her young.
Ooh, what's up, girl? Oh yeah, that's more Selena to me.
Yeah, me too.
That's
that's
all
what I
Selena,
mean,
but
and
that's
look
where
at-
you even see that her lips are also done. Like this is
I
plastic
don't know. Look how
surgery.
big her lips are.
I don't think so. Look at that top lip on the other ones. But you're distracting me. Like I'm saying, I'm getting all hot over here.
Look at she just she if you
But
look,
that's different. This, yeah.
no, because her tots are done there.
And PVZ, that doesn't do her any justice in that specific photo.
PVZ's tots aren't done there.
Aren't done there. But she's coming back with a little layoff.
Oh my!
Little
see,
bit of weight.
but that's how it had to happen. Our show couldn't have been you sat there and did that while I was trying to break down the fight. People would have been incensed.
Truth.
The women that listen would have been incensed. I had to do it.
So, this fight...
He made me.
PVC can really choose where she wants to keep this fight because Ostovich really can't get it to the ground. PVZ has good enough takedown defense, was at ATT for a little while. She's married a fighter, has been fighting out of the lab.
I never
For a while.
see these pictures of this girl.
Oh,
no
you ain't
wonder
looked hard
I'm
enough.
like,
You ain't looked hard enough, girl.
Oh
Like I'm
my
telling you.
God.
I'm telling you, I studied this for weeks and weeks. Usually around that midnight time frame, but
I can't get off of them.
PVZ is coming off of a loss to Jess Ronson, where she actually lost that fight with a broken forearm. Split right in half in the middle of that second round.
It's almost like Woodley and Usman fighting. It's like the UFC, everything they have double of, they're getting rid of one. So the girl that fights me with the boob job, just put them up against each
Both
other.
of these fighters have multiple fights left. They can both lose 3 in a row, and their looks have got... They're going to keep getting them fights.
I agree with you.
So, by far the lesser fighter here, Rachel Ostovich. I feel like PVZ just stays away, wins a striking battle on the outside. On the ground, she can hold her own enough to not. But Ostovich, it's her only way to win is going to be on the ground striking-wise. PVZ runs away with this.
How good is Ostovich overall? Is she UFC caliber?
In this division, she's going to stay for a while. But I don't think a
If
lot of
she-
women in general are UFC caliber at this division.
Yeah, is she... I just, looking at these pictures, I think a fair assessment to say is there's a certain level of, like, if you're a badass, there's a certain level of style pictures that you don't take. And then if you're not necessarily, like, if fighting secondary, you might have to take a different kind of picture. I just am like, God damn, girl.
Telling you, long nights here for the Bean on this specific fight.
Good grief. I know it's like some of it was like the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Remember when they had that TV show of them making the magazine?
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was like Kathy Ireland and all those. We were like
long tape study for that at that point in time in my life too.
You were like, they might be a fighter one day. You know,
it only came on at 1 a.m. on sports on whatever it was, Spike TV or whatever it was back in the day.
I forgot we were breaking out a fight all together.
So I'm gonna end up staying with PVZ for the decision win. I feel like she keeps it standing. I'm staying away from this fight completely. I feel like it's low scoring for either fighter. If there's a finish, it's also PVZ. But again, so many other spots. 8,400 on DraftKings for the slight favorite against Rachel Ostovich, 7,800. Are you going to bet this one anywhere?
I'm so nervous that this is Paige's first fight up, but I love that she's been up in Oregon. I think she's probably been...
Not her first fight up. She fought Jesse just at 125.
Oh, did she? That's awesome. That makes me feel a little better. I like that she's been up in Oregon, though. I like that she's been working on her ground game. I just think she has all the experience in there. I'm going to stick with what I know. I think she can figure it out, and I think Paige is that kind of girl that can reach inside. We saw her fight with a broken arm.
Agreed.
I think she submits Rachel, and I think she could probably do it, or Raquel Ostovich. I think she can probably do it in round 2 because she's really been training, and Raquel's had a lot of other stuff going on.
She can take a beating. I'm sorry, fans.
PVZ arm hooks her and Ronda Rousey's are out.
I'm just saying, she could take a mean left hook from what I saw in those reports.
I didn't even watch any of those. I don't know that it doesn't do any. Yeah, I didn't even watch any of those.
I apologize.
Nah, I don't know if there's anything to... I mean, I think that too. I'm like, Chris Cyborg, I'm like, she should be able to... I was surprised Amanda Nunes could knock her out, but Cyborg couldn't.
Truth.
The Cyborg, the dude.
There was a lot of cocaine there too.
Yeah, I got PVZ's. I think she figures it out by round 3, maybe round 2. But maybe Raquel just being in the tough house, maybe she'll come out here and surprise me.
I don't think she's gonna at all.
Her gym is Jesus is Lord? Or is that just what Tapology says?
It's what Tapology says, but I know she's been cross-training in the States. She's looking a little better, but again, that's a stay away. There's just no reason to throw your money up there, but I do see the minus 165 favorite PVZ just taking that. In most situations, 9 out of 10 times she wins that fight.
I feel like it's only fair while you move into the next fight that I look up Paige Van Zant like the same way that I
just so you can oogle her.
Well, I just feel like I have to look at her in the exact same way that I just did Ostovich, or it's just not fair. Like,
she doesn't have the curves though to look at her that way.
I know, that's what I wanted to validate to myself when I looked through it, that if you, like, you're the type of girl... I mean, there's some sexy pictures that are, like, very...
There ain't no butt. What are you going to grab onto there?
I think she has a booty for sure.
I don't know about that.
Faux show. Like, look at her on Dancing with the Stars. She's not my type, but I think she's cute. And she just doesn't put out, like... I felt like there was a borderline, like, whoa, those are naughty, where I don't feel that way about Paige Van Zant's. Like, that's her naughtiest picture. That one, with the cutoff jean shorts.
With the cutoff jean shorts where you can see the butt cheek?
Yeah, that's her naughtiest picture. Everything else is, like, you know, relatively, like...
Yeah, her in athletic wear.
Yeah, doing athletic things with her man.
Where you see Ostovich, you can see all the way to Mercury in your
Or
anus.
one yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Paige Van Zant, just by the pictures, she looks more like an athlete.
Sole reason, fight fans.
If I was just doing it on the... Well, you gave him the real breakdown. I did mine based on the pictures.
Which is a valid point.
And all of our fans know a lot of the times I just get into the fights for the first time on air, so it's fair that I see a lot of these pictures on air and be able to give my breakdown of...
So a profile breakdown that we're going to have at 125 pounds. We have a rematch in Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz, two profile fighters that here at LaTB we absolutely love to watch fight. These are both 125 pound fighters that have fought at 135 when both of these fighters have fought when there was not a 125 pound division and did well at the 135 pound division, but have really thrived at 25. And Joseph Benavidez always in that top 3, 125, even 35, perennial contender, coming off of a huge win against Alejandro Perez, but not the one we think, a different one, losing only to Sergio Pettis in a dirty split decision, and prior to that, only really losing to the champion, Joey Benavidez. Well-rounded all the way around. He's actually one of the few people who's kept his training relationship at 26-5 with Alpha Male and TJ Dillashaw. You know he's been working with TJ. I haven't seen as many photos as lately where he's been at specifically, if he's been more at Alpha Male or not, but Joey B, even what we've seen of late, always nasty. Chin, I don't know if it's necessarily suspect yet, but he is a fighter who is in the tenure parts of his career. Title shots, maybe he has one more in him, but he's one of those guys that needs to start looking at other careers.
A title shot at 135?
I think he's a contender. I don't know if it's a title shot. I think he fights people to be a contender.
The 125 division
is supposedly going away.
Unless the ESPN audience is like, no, what are you talking about? We love it.
So, Dustin Ortiz coming in with a 19-7 record, losing to top contenders. One of the few not top contenders is against Brandon Moreno in a submission, which he was head kicked initially, but prior to that, only losing to Formiga, Wilson Hayes, and losing a decision to Joey Benavidez before, which a lot of people said was controversial and said could have been a split. Myself agreeing with that. I thought Ortiz did enough that first time around to win the fight, but Ortiz tends to wrestle, counter-strike, has okay power, coming off of a huge knockout himself against Matthew Nicolau 5 months ago. Really haven't seen that power, but it's all coming from the Nashville fight team. The 30-year-old is really getting his ducks in a row. Cardio, both these guys have third-round cardio. Both have that unbelievable speed. I would say Ortiz barely beats Benavidez, but they're evenly. I think Benavidez has a slighter output, and grappling wise, Dustin Ortiz goes for more takedowns, lands more takedowns, but Joseph Benavidez actually has more ground control. I actually feel like the person that's grown more over this entire time has been Dustin Ortiz. And here we go with the Bean getting another underdog. I thought he won the first one. I think he grows off of it. Joey Benavidez getting a lot of hype from that last knockout he had against a middling fighter who a lot of people had more hype than he should have. And I got another underdog. Oh man, it's either going to be the best way to start the year or one of the worst, because I got so many underdogs I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to look anymore. Give me Dustin Ortiz as a humongous underdog, 3-1 underdog here for the win in a decision. Who do you have for this bout?
Oh, this is crazy. I just think of late, Dustin Ortiz has fought the better competition. Of late. I know you can say that, well, Joey Benavidez fought Cejudo, but yeah, that was over 2 years ago now. Over 2 years ago now, where I feel like the guys that Dustin Ortiz has slayed are up-and-comers to me. I have seen Dustin Ortiz grow a lot. I just have been on shaky ground with Joey B for a little while. I've kind of been waiting for him to bail out. Just crumble somewhere. I just see him get hurt in his fights where I think they're over. Like, oh, that didn't look good. And he does hang on and sometimes eke out the decision, sometimes not. But I don't love Sergio Pettis as much as you do, so that loss really put him in a different place for me. And I know it was his first fight back in a long time. But Alex Perez, I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like Ortiz has been in there grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding and getting better and getting better and getting better and getting better. I'm going to have Ortiz decision here.
Woo!
I think he could finish it.
Woo! Minus,
That's crazy.
Or plus 185 underdog against the minus
It makes my
245.
girl.
Wow. Like I said, if you're following us here at LaTB, you have spots to make all sorts of money. I'll give my specific strongest bouts as far as who I'm picking here, but I'm pretty confident in Dustin Ortiz in this spot.
Even Brandon Moreno on that submission, I feel like he was beat the
It was set up by a head kick. It was set up with a left kick that knocked down Ortiz. For sure. But Ortiz grew from that. That's a profile. That's a fight of the year contender
And
to me, though.
didn't Brandon Moreno move up after that?
I don't believe he has, but he was demolished. Moreno's was demolished by a couple other guys after that. I believe actually by Nicolau. But that's a profile fight. Benavidez Ortiz. I'm back and forth on that fight. I guess I stayed with Ortiz, but I'm excited for that is what I'm saying. Like, I think that could be the fight of the night as well. The scrambles both of those guys are able to do in there, it's going to be little tiny tornadoes in there. I cannot wait for that bout. And then after that, we have not even the co-main event. This could be a co-main event at 155 pounds, but it's not, with Gregor Gillespie. All sorts of hype behind him against Yancy Medeiros, who we talked about earlier on the show as well. A longtime veteran, 15-5 Yancy against a 12-0 prospect. Gillespie comes in with high wrestling credentials. Really didn't know what to do after wrestling, but has since come into the UFC and beaten Vince from Hell Pichel. One of the biggest favorites of the night, beating Jason Gonzalez and Jordan Rinaldi as well. Gillespie uses his wrestling and overhand rights to really set up tons of ground and pound. Yancy Medeiros also coming out of that island fight scene out of Hawaii. He's coming off of a loss to Donald Cerrone, TKO 10 months ago, but had a nice little 3-fight winning streak against Alex Oliveira at 170 pounds. Beat Sean Spencer in there. Who else did he beat as well in there as of late? Eric Silva, not too much behind that, but Yancy Medeiros tends to be a counter striker, piston of a left straight, takes a good punch, but gets on wobbly legs. Is a Diaz disciple, can go to the body. He keeps his head a little bit straight. Yancy Medeiros has a bit of that tall man defense at time for me, where his head is just straight up, and he'll throw that straight left, but he'll also eat that right over the top of it, and he just expects his power to come through a little bit more. With Gillespie, we've seen him eat those shots and just keep moving forward. On the ground, we've seen at times as well, Medeiros, if he can't get his ground game going, he'll just kind of succumb to the position, and Gillespie has everything he needs in there to get those positions and just keep repeating, rinse and repeat until he gets that ground and pound TKO. Gillespie will tie up those wrists well on top, and he really fakes his shots well as far as throwing punches into shots, and really excited for what I've seen with Gillespie. I don't like the odds here because Yancy Medeiros is a tricky enough of a fighter to be able to get a guillotine, a darts, a ninja choke in there, and ruin the type of hype for Gillespie. This is a huge step up, but this is also a profile step up. I like Gillespie here. I think the odds are off. I'd say maybe more 3-1 is what I like. I think the juice is just a little too loose as far as the odds are. I am siding with Gillespie, TKO round number 3, if not decision, due to ground and pound. But Medeiros has a shot in there.
That is the exact same way I think that it's going to finish. Ground and pound. I do think they're giving Gillespie a little too much credit here.
Right.
Or I don't know if it's they're not giving Yancy enough respect or giving Gregor too much credit. But Gillespie, in the same respect, he is such one to watch. I think he's the real deal. The amount of forward pressure, never-ending cardio. Yancy has a soft-ass body, and I think it's going to be a body shot that ultimately leads to the crumbling of Yancy. It's interesting that he's choosing to step down as well as Cowboy around the same time. Mm-hmm. He must not have liked too much of what he felt like at 170, or if that, I wonder if the UFC was just trying to pad the division for a while. It's interesting. I like Gregor here. I do think it's this is like, it's his first tested name. because they're both their
Oh,
experience
totally.
of the guys they've gone against are pretty similar of late. Even though like Eric Silva and Trinaldo have never ending experience as where they were at the times in their careers, as far as some of the guys, they were on their way out anyway. So
Good point.
Gregor, he does get hurt though, and Yancey can hurt him. This is going to be a firefight until I think this could be a fight of the year potential. This could be the fight of the night. This is the fight of the night potential.
Oliveira Medeiros was a fight of the year potential as well. A couple fights ago for Medeiros, but takes a lot of shots. You don't get those type of honors.
3-1. I think you're right on that.
3-1 should be right. Real quick, to jump back on the last fight. I'm sorry to do this, but we didn't go over the DraftKings lines real quick for Joseph Benavidez over Dustin Ortiz because we were so hyped up on Dustin Ortiz being an underdog there. It's going to actually be 9,000 on DraftKings for Joseph Benavidez against Ortiz is 7,200. You know who I'm playing. You better know who I'm playing, Dustin Ortiz. I'm probably like 70% of my cards. I might sprinkle. Well, I'm not going to play Benavidez there at all.
You'll be able to afford your favorite Hardy everywhere.
But Gillespie on DraftKings, 9,400 minus 500 favorite against Yancy Medeiros, 6,800. I honestly could see myself putting Medeiros on a spot or two because I don't think he gets completely blown out of there. As we're saying, that 500 is just a little too steep. I'm going to be able to afford Gillespie, though, everywhere with the way my DraftKings night's pulling out.
Yeah, you're going to be able to put whoever
I want, anywhere, and mix those cards up wherever I want. But to the co-main event, we go at 265 pounds. I've already put a few bets down, and it doesn't matter. I can put everybody and anybody that I want on there. You definitely re-listen to me between the lines. I liking Calderwood, liking freaking Cerrone as really cheap plays in there, but there's many others. Dustin Ortiz is also in there a lot. You got to pick finishes though too. Got to pick finishes to win those DraftKings lines. And a big finish, somebody who they're setting up to get a big finish in here is Greg Hardy against Alan Crowder, the 265 pounds. Damn it. Not a double debut. We have debuting controversial Greg Hardy against losing his debut against Justin Willis, Alan Crowder. Crowder lost TKO 1 month ago to Willis via TKO, and he won his Contender Series fight before that. But at 265, it's pretty much whichever heavyweight wins in whatever fashion is getting a contract right now, and that's where I feel Crowder is. And that being said, for Greg Hardy, it doesn't matter what kind of luggage you have. We just need 205ers, and you have a name. Get them in here. They're setting up Lamb to the slaughter. As far as technique, don't like anything I've seen from Crowder. His shots are really low quality. Striking is bad.
From Hardy?
No, but he's way more black explosive. Leaps and bounds, throws that over a hand right heavy. All of his fights have been in the first round. He's a perfect 3-0. Debuted in the UFC promotion. But I do think that this is a setup fight. He's not the co-main event for no reason. On an ESPN first fight of the night with these type of allegations.
What a perfect way to get a bunch of sports fans to look at your brand.
And I've been seeing a lot of Twitter people talking about, I know guys that told me that they got ESPN just to watch Dan Hardy fight because they used to like him being an NFL player. Greg Hardy, sorry. But they don't like his domestic abuse stuff. And actually a lot of people want to see him lose, which will happen. Greg Hardy will eventually be found out. But this isn't the fight.
How many, out of 1 in 20 men, how many do you think hit a woman? Or do you think it'd have to be a bigger number, 1 in 50 or 1 in 100?
No,
or
I'm going to say 1 in 6 relationships, probably 1 in 8.
So would it be fair to say all the shit and hate that the UFC is getting for putting Hardy on a card with Ostovich, the same could be said about every woman fight they ever had in the UFC, because there's probably somebody who's beat a fucking girl on that card that just hasn't got caught for it?
50% of the women who have fought have some sort of domestic issue that they've talked about. Themselves. And they're like, well, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's all because they're both highlighted as people, this guy hits chicks, this is highlighted. But at the same time, it's a lot can be said about so many UFC cards that if we really dissected these people's backgrounds, it just so happens that he happens to be a famous guy.
Well, the interesting thing is we've had with
And I'm not sticking up for his grotesque display, especially like you're this big mother effer pro athlete and you're going to beat the shit out of anyone smaller than you. I just
Right,
think it's
because I
bullshit.
guarantee you he
And
wasn't
then-
dating someone smaller than him.
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah, exactly. Well, anyone, even if he were to beat the shit out of like a 115-pound dude at a gas station,
Right.
I would be like, oh, that's grotesque. Like, I just think
True.
it's gross. But then add the woman factor to it in society, that's even grosser. So,
Truth. But we don't have to break down many skills here because there isn't many skills in this fight. This is just two heavy men swinging, and the guy who's more likely to land there first because he's faster and more athletic is Hardy. This isn't the time to fade Hardy. His time's coming, and they're going to hype him up very quickly as they have been, but he's been in there fighting very low competition. Crowder's one of them. I'm going to end up being able to put Hardy wherever I want, and I am at 9,500 against the 6,700 Crowder, but it's just because Crowder sucks.
what happens if it gets out of the first? Still a knockout in the second?
Yeah, because they come in neutral at the beginning of the second round, but I don't think it goes out of the first, regardless, either fighter. They're not built for this, either one of these guys.
I have Hardy too by all the hype up. I'm going to put Hardy KO round 1. I can't put Hardy everywhere. I don't know shit about him and what he's done, and everything I've watched, every single video I've watched, it's like watching Chuck Liddell tape.
He swings for the fences.
I just think it seems like he's punching through peanut butter. It seems slow AF. It was watching like watching Chuck Liddell warm up now. It was like not impressive to me at all.
But
He
they're
did
all
not look like a
heavyweights.
natural fighter.
Yeah. But
And on I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't know anything about him. I like to stick with what I know a little bit. Look at the underdog's trying to tell us Crowder.
Trying to tell us something at plus 385 for Crowder. Maybe. Oh, sorry,
I have
underdog.
Hardy KO round 1.
I have Hardy KO round 1 as well.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna put Crowder on 1 or 2.
Just because the underdog's speaking
I
up.
just think he has more experience in MMA, and that has to mean something that you're like, this guy's going to come and swing for the fences. Like, if I'm the coach of Crowder, this guy's going to come in and swing for the fences. So you might have to take a few to get underneath and just get double underhook, push him up against the cage, and then you're going to lay just enough damage and elbow, to stay on him and wear him out. You're going to pull on his arms. You're going to do just enough
if
to wear
you
him
can
out.
take a few. But yes, that's the thing. If he can take them is the hard thing there.
I don't know. He's taken them before against guys with, a little record. He's been in Bellator.
Greg Hardy, I'm going to probably put on like
I know it's a setup
60,
fight. It's everything
70%,
you're saying, but I think
80%.
it's just as many people would watch being like, I can't wait to watch this fucking wife beater get punched the fuck out.
I do feel like, though, on DraftKings, when they show you the percentages, Hardy's going to be one of those highest owned guys, though.
Oh, yeah, because people that don't watch fights
Know
at all
anything.
are going to pick Hardy. That's why I think if you're
Maybe we do
competing-
stay away from him. We are contrarian, and we go with, like, these other underdogs, plus a couple other favorites, like Sam Hagen, because he's a big,
guys
like,
that have paid their
9-3.
dues.
Right.
Like a bunch of people that don't know anything about fights are going to watch these fights and they're like, oh, I can't wait till Greg Hardy, my boy, comes in. Can't wait till Greg...
If Hardy wins, it's knockout round number 1.
Or he puts in a garbage fight where people are like, whoa.
What?
And then they're like,
happened?
what did I tune in for? And then you want to know what you tuned in for? I think we just walk right into the next
The
fight.
main event, while you're watching weigh-ins, because...
And when you watch these two trash bags fight, and then you walk into Henry Cejudo, a gold medalist, and TJ Dillashaw, maybe a best pound for pound of all time.
Agreed. One of the future Hall of Famers in there, and TJ Dillashaw. Cejudo can make a claim for that by getting these type of upsets. Henry Cejudo is going to be at 125 pounds. So is TJ Dillashaw, moving down in weight. Everyone's been talking about the weight. We've been talking about the weight here. Gotta wait for all of these early weigh-ins Friday, see what happens. But if this fight comes to fruition, we have
If you're in Vegas,
high
though,
level.
we've said it.
Yes.
If you're in Vegas, the odds of Henry missing weight are higher than TJ. We've said it here. Put money on that bet.
If you can find that prop out somewhere, put money on that. Ask some of those lines. If you got a bookie, be like, hey, I bet you TJ makes it and Cejudo doesn't. But I'm crossing my fingers they do because I really want to see this bout. Because this is a super high profile bout.
I agree, everywhere.
But I just don't think it will. So, We got TJ Dillashaw, one of the best GOATs, movement for days, highest level training. I gotta throw in the steroid allegations, but if you've ever known anyone to be on steroids, it's Olympians, right? Am I making that up?
True.
Am I making that up? They usually have some of the biggest backings. They have some of the highest people because they know how to get around that state testing. And although they hire them Russian guys, you know Cejudo's been over in Russia. He's never had any claims, but you know TJ has for sure. TJ's fighting, top echelon for a long time, being 16-3, only losing to top level guys and Jaw Dotson in there. Henry Cejudo in the same boat, being 13-2, only losing to Demetrius Johnson, one of the best of all time, and also Joey Benavidez, who's also the number 2 guy in there, coming off of a 3-fight winning streak, defeating the reigning only 125-pound champ. Henry Cejudo used a ton of footwork in there, great boxing, good takedown defense, and a good game plan with takedowns in order to systematically, on the cards, be able to beat Demetrius Johnson. But as far as beating the champ, I don't think Henry Cejudo beat the champ to be the champ, but they did give him the belt at the end of that. And if you can squeak away from a split decision dirty fight, which I thought Demetrius Johnson won, you better knock out TJ Dillashaw, because this is somebody who is constant competitor, has told you he wants to come down and weight to shut down the division, and betting wise is the favorite for a reason, because Henry Cejudo has had one moment or 2 moments with Joey Benavidez and Johnson in there where he's come back and grown, but he hasn't done what TJ has. TJ has that ring experience and that cardio into that next level that just, there's so many more check marks, high output, strike defense. Also, check for TJ here. Striking wise, TJ Dillashaw and that Bang Ludwig system we've been touting for years now. And I think that TJ gets to pick where this fight goes. Even if Henry Cejudo manages to get this on the ground in that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round, Cejudo stops using those takedown and shots, because this is going to be such an MMA well-rounded fight that Cejudo's going to lose the striking, try to go to the wrestling, and eventually lose the wrestling. And then he's going to have no options but to lose the bout. I have TJ Dillashaw. I was saying TKO round number 2 because that's what Bang Ludwig said, but I'm giving Henry Cejudo a little bit more clout in there. I'm going to go TKO round number 4 or 5 for TJ. I think he gets it done into championship rounds. I'm going to put a little money on those. You know how I like to do those prop bets. Don't quote me on that one specifically. Don't bet the house on that, but I'll be throwing it out there. I got the minus 200 favorite, TJ Dillashaw, to close down the division. Even though I don't want to see it go, I do want to see this fight happen. Who do you have in this bout?
Did you think TJ Dillashaw would have beat DJ?
Yes.
And here's another question. Don't you think Cody would beat Cejudo?
Ooh, that's a good fight. I actually think Cejudo might win that one.
I think
It's a
Cody
closer
could win
fight
it
than
because
this.
I don't think Cejudo has nearly the hands and power that TJ does. And Cody has good wrestling and good wrestling in reverse to stay on the feet and the better striking. Anyways, those are the same questions I asked myself over and over again, and I had pretty much the same answers. And that's why it's easy for me to say Dillashaw KO round 4 here. Easy, easy, easy. If his science, if he's still getting faster and everything's still coming better, this is TJ in his prime. This is the TJ that we should be looking back at when he's in the Hall of Fame and he's in the pound for pound talks and people are talking about all that stuff decades from now. This will be the time that TJ starts that reign. This is, I think, everything before this, that's nothing yet. I don't think we've seen anything yet. I think he takes this belt. I think we see him run at the division. I think he can decide of whether or not he wants to keep it open, even though I think the UFC is kind of letting this, we're seeing the best of the 125. I think seeing Ortiz and Benavidez versus Cejudo Dillashaw at 125. Oh, thank you, UFC. What a great way to shoot it out of here. And then everybody move up. You have a whole bunch of fans lead to the division. I like TJ better everywhere, including the wrestling here, because TJ's wrestling is built for this sport. I think he is a pound for pound great. I don't know if Cejudo would be a pound for pound great wrestler. I know he's an Olympic wrestler. I do know that. But MMA wrestling...
Olympic gold medalist. Take a shot.
Yeah. I like TJ better everywhere here. I think he's going to be one of the greats. I think he's dedicated. I don't have enough things. I like him everywhere. I like his whole entire stand-up ground.
Yep. I totally
Everything.
agree. 8,900 on DraftKings for
Even
TJ
how hurt he
Dillashaw.
can get. Even how hurt he can get
recovery.
and come back and come back.
Totally agree. He's just proven it time and time again. DraftKings,
I have round 4 as well. I think it could happen a lot sooner, but no later.
the only reason I had 2 initially was, again, Bang, Ludwig said 2, but I like 4. I'm sticking with 4 as well. 8,900 on DraftKings
What
against
round
7,300 for
did
Cejudo.
TJ finish Cejudo the first time?
DJ, it
Or
was either the
DJ.
first or the second.
Ooh, I think that could happen too.
I could see that happening to the body as well. If that body work, I could see that definitely happening as well. But I see myself putting a 5-rounder main event. I'm going to be putting TJ in 90% of my cards.
I agree.
I'm really confident in that one. 5 rounds regardless. Cejudo just doesn't have the knockout power. He doesn't come close to that knockout type of ability to be able to really wear him down. Again, we got to be watching weigh-ins. We got to be liking and subscribing. You got to be following us wherever you can. This was a fun one. We're going to have such more fun ones on the way, but I could keep going. I could keep going on just this
pound for
fight.
pound. I was just thinking they're both obviously in talks for pound if they win, right?
I don't like to throw Cejudo in there.
Not yet.
Not yet. He can, but he just hasn't. He hasn't had the trial and tribulations a lot of these other guys have.
Yeah, but how do you feel about Cejudo moving? Do you think this fight he wins? So let's say Cejudo wins. Does he have the first fight at 135 for TJ's belt?
I hope not, because 125 needs to keep moving if it's going to stay alive.
I don't think it does.
Regardless, it doesn't stay alive.
I think we see this.
Interesting. Yeah, tightening of that.
Turn it off and then maybe open 165 if we're lucky.
I kind of agree with that.
Thank you, guys. We will talk to you soon.
Lesbo and The Bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and The Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.